After our wedding, Elizabeth and I walked around the cottage, but the only thing on my mind was my creation and his search for vengeance. Every little raindrop, every brooding cloud, every hint of darkness terrified me.
What is it that agitates you, my dear Victor? What is it you fear?
Peace, peace, my love. This night and all will be safe, but this night will be dreadful, very dreadful. Elizabeth and I parted ways as she left for bed, while I continued walking in search for the monster with a pistol in my hand. I saw no sight of him until all of a sudden I heard a terribly dreadful scream coming from Elizabeth's room. I ran inside the room to see Elizabeth's lifeless, cold, and limp body with bloody prints around her neck. I then looked out the window to see the monster staring, grinning with a sense of pride for the murder of my beloved wife. I drew my pistol, but the bullet had missed. The sound of the gunshot attracted tons of people into the room. I pointed outside the window in the direction of where the monster had gone. All of us immediately followed the trail, but the monster was nowhere to be found. I was sure everyone believed I was crazy and making up a fantasy. We still continued to search the lamps, but eventually, I grew tired and ill. I was taken to bed, where I fell asleep unaware of what was going on. Soon I woke up and heard many cries in the room where Elizabeth was murdered. I barely made it to my wife's dead body, and as I hovered over her and looked at her face, I found myself bawling among the many weeps heard in the room. I thought deeply about all the casualties in the hands of my creation, and I was reminded of my other companions that may also be victimized. I got up instantly and intended to go to Geneva. It was early in the morning, and I had hoped to arrive by night. Nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change. Nothing could appear to me as it had originally. I arrived at Geneva. My father and Ernest yet lived, but the former sunk under the tidings that I bore. My father's eyes wandered in vacancy, for they had lost their charm and delight. His Elizabeth, his daughter, whom he doted on with all that affection which a man feels, who in the decline of life, having few affections, clings earnestly to those that remain. He could not live under the horrors that were accumulated around him. The springs of existence suddenly gave away. He was unable to rise from bed, and in a few days he died in my arms. What then became of me? I know not. I lost sensation. Chains and darkness were the only objects that pressed upon me. Melancholy followed, but by degrees I gained a clear conception of my situation, and was then released from my prison. They had called me mad, and during many months, as I understood, Isla had been my habitation. As the memory of the past misfortunes pressed upon me, I began to reflect on their cause, the monster whom I had created, the miserable demon whom I had sent abroad into the world for my destruction. I was possessed by a maddening rage when I thought of him. I began to reflect on the best means of securing him. About a month after my release, I repaired to a judge in town, and told him I knew the destroyer of my family.
Be assured, sir, no plans or exertions on my part shall be spared to discover the villain.
I thank you. Listen therefore to the deposition I have to make. The magistrate appeared at first perfectly incredulous, but as I continued he became more attentive and interested. I had then concluded my narration. This is true, being whom I accuse, and I call upon you to exert your whole power. This address caused a considerable change in the physiognomy of my own auditor.
I would willingly afford you every aid in your pursuit, but the creature appears to have powers which put all my exertions to defiance.
You do not credit my narrative, and do not intend to pursue my enemy with the punishment which is his desert.
You are mistaken. I will exert myself, and if it is in my power to seize the monster, he shall suffer punishment proportionate to his crimes.
My revenge is of no moment to you, yet I allow to be a vice. My rage is unspeakable when I reflect that the murder still exists. You refuse my just demand. I have but one resource, and I devote myself, either in my life or death, to his destruction. Man, how ignorant art thou of thy pride of wisdom. Cease, you know not what it is you say. I broke from the house angry and disturbed, and retired to meditate.